Good evening, folks. Welcome to Activate Worcester. And Ron Motta, your affable, not so affable host. And I wish everybody who's watching this and will watch it a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Obviously, we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and I think we have a lot to be thankful for, personally, and every other which way you can think about it. And if I can offer one suggestion to folks, when you get together with your family, your friends for Thanksgiving, do everybody a big favor. As they say in the old country, relative to politics, forget about it. Don't go there. Leave it the hell alone. There are people on the left who simply will not budge, and there are people on the right who simply will not budge. So you can turn what should be a wonderful time into a old-fashioned pissing contest, excuse the expression, and it's going to sour all the effort that you guys put into. So, again, from a word to the wise, and I've got that dichotomy in my own family, and I'll talk football, I'll talk whatever they want. I'm not getting involved in any of this other stuff, period. So I want it to be a great time, and I want to just enjoy a few calories and so on and so forth, and enjoy the good fellowship, and that's my story. Before we get started, as you guys can see, we have a big budget here at Activate Worcester. And I'm wearing a shirt that you might be able to read. It's hard to do close-ups with this. It's about the Edmund Fitzgerald, and that's the famous freighter that went down in the Great Lakes almost 50 years ago. And a number of years ago, I ended up going out there to Whitefish Point and all this. It's just amazing what happened out there. But to celebrate it as well, we have our constant guest, the great Jay Givan, with us. And Jay and I ended up going out to, just a little over a year ago, I guess. We went to, was it Mechanics Hall? No, it wasn't Mechanics.
Hanover.
Went to the Hanover, and we saw Gordon Lightfoot. And Gordon Lightfoot at that point was, he was on the back nine. In fact, he was on the 18th hole. He passed away a couple months afterwards. But it was seeing a living legend, and the thing that brought the house down was his doing the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is, his song is recounting the whole episode. That was right on the money, and it was great. It was a great time. But that being said, anyway, happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays behind that as well. Now, since we got together the last time, what's new? What's been happening?
I haven't the foggiest idea. But speaking of the pride of the American side, quote Gordon Lightfoot, there was an election. Before that, I'd like to mention one thing. Last night at the City Hall, City Council meeting, or just before it, but within City Hall, there was a left-wing activist, David Webb, who apparently was assaulted. He had paint thrown or sprayed on his face. And I just want to say that you can disagree with someone, to what you were getting at with Thanksgiving, but you can't do that. Apparently he's okay. It's, he ended up in blackface, so to speak. He seems okay based on the videos he posted of himself. Something like that should not happen at all, no matter what he may have instigated or poked the bear with a stick. Stuff like this should not happen, especially in a public building. That's it.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's ridiculous. But that kind of speaks to the kind of intolerance, good word to use, on both sides. And it's an interesting dynamic to be able to negotiate and to discuss situations. But now what's happening, great definition of communication. I read this a lot of years ago, and I haven't heard a better one. Communication is literally two-way flow of information. Just think about it that way. And people, just because you shout at each other and give each other your talking points, that's not the same as communicating. And now it's gotten to the point that it's been such a fever pitch that if you guys remember what a pressure cooker was or is, after a while, that steam just comes out and it kind of diffuses things. And what I'm hoping is that after this major election that we just had, that the hate on both sides will dissipate, and we can get on with moving this country and our cities and everything else forward. There's a lot that's got to be corrected immediately, and we need the help on both sides. And if one side is going to be intractable and be totally committed to the failure on the other side, well, what is the other side going to do? They're going to become just as hostile as can be, and it'll be a shooting war, and nobody's going to win. And to this guy, Webb, who I wouldn't know if he walked in here, I'm not going to apologize for whoever did that to him. They deserve to be prosecuted, period. This is not what this country is based on, and this is not jackbooted thugs on either side, forcing you to go in their direction. Can't do it. That's what the First Amendment, Second Amendment, that's what we're hopefully getting back to at this point. So anyway.
So I mentioned that because that should be stated, but it also, it's a springboard to November 5th, actually the year preceding November 5th. You can have as much political discourse and disagreement and anything you want to call it, but that's different than instigating somebody to drive somebody to do what this guy did to him. So when you look back, you can go back to 2015 when Trump came down the escalator. We know that the Obama administration and the Hillary Clinton campaign, we know what they did. We know what his Trump 1.0 was like, with the impeachments and so on and so forth. We know that from the moment he announced he was running, was it right after the 22 elections?
Pretty much, yeah.
All of a sudden, all these state laws are being enacted as special cases, and because the left, they were looking for a conviction, just so they could run convicted felon this, convicted. It didn't matter what it was. Sure. They wanted that, and they got that, but it didn't work. The American people, Trump's popularity kept going up, his approval ratings kept going up, so they amped it up. And it backfired again. They tried to take him off state ballots, which he wasn't going to win those states anyway, so it was sort of a moot point. But everybody started to realize what was happening. They want to get rid of him outside of the democratic process.
There's an old adage that we learned in the second or third grade: absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the Democratic Party has been so drunk with power, with no negative feedback ever. The media, which is really supposed to be an ombudsman, it's supposed to be the thing that's going to safeguard all of us, because it'll be a pox on both houses. That's the way the media really was set up. Go after both of them because they both stink. Well, no, that's not what they do. And there's been surveys that said that since this election came to, or the process came out, Kamala Harris had something like 95 of all stories about her were positive. Trump, on the other hand, something like 78 or 80% were all negative. Now, when you think about it, you've got the ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, the big five, quote unquote. They just keep inculcating, just keep hitting people over the head with the same lies over and over and over again, that Trump is the devil, he's Satan. Okay, and that this giggling fool was just wonderful. She was totally a media creation, and everybody out there knows it. And if that's the best the great old Democratic Party could come up with, oh boy. And I think, in a way, it's going to be positive because, yeah, they say right now she's going to be the front runner. Yeah, let her be the front runner. You'll go down again. But what they need to do at this point is get rid of the old guard, the Hillary Clintons, the Bill Clintons, the Obamas, the Pelosi's of the world, and so forth, the Chuck Schumers, and bring a whole new breed of people that's not as vitriolic and hate-filled as those people are, and get the Democrats back on a firm footing, which is what they always used to be, in English, those who remember it, when Kennedy was president. Democrats of the 50s, 60s, et cetera, who were across the board, and that's all gone. That party has been corrupted totally. And if they continue to go to the left, this is going to be a long bus ride before they're actually, back on top again. So we shall see. We shall see.
Well, when your closing arguments are Trump is Hitler, and anybody that supports him is a Nazi or garbage.
Or all of the above.
And all of the above.
Absolutely.
But to be fair to Kamala Harris, what is she supposed to do? She needs the extreme left, and she needs the left-leaning, but in the realm of center independence. If she goes too far left, she alienates the middle. If she goes to the middle, there's enough crazy people on the far left that they won't come out.
That's their problem.
She had another problem.
Yeah.
She was actually, except for the coup to knock Biden out, she was a very good vice president. Biden was a very good vice president. In terms of a vice president should be loyal and carry out the president's agenda. Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris did that, and she was also stuck that she can't say that Biden was good, was mentally with it, Build Back Better, and then say that things were bad, that she needs to be reelected. And she was just stuck in the middle. And that's why she couldn't answer questions. Then you realize when she did, the cackle comes out. And she's not that smart. She's just a historically bad candidate. Mm-hmm. Trump, I think Kamala should have won, or at least could have won. But she got stuck in the middle between who she needs to appeal to. She ended up appealing to nobody. She lost basically every group there is. When you're a Democrat, and when you're a black woman Democrat, and you're losing the black Muslim vote to Hitler, mm-hmm. It's going to be a long night for the Democrats and a very joyous one for the Republicans. I thought there was a lot of overreach. You can't assault, hoax, trick, smear, try to assassinate not once but twice. People realize what's going on. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Maybe Trump isn't as bad. And then how do you legitimately call somebody Hitler when he's serving fries at McDonald's? He's riding around. You could tell he's kind of becoming a grandfather, very grandfatherly. Looks like he was having a good time with it.
He came across as very human. She came across as very, very wooden, plain and simple. She was very unlikable. And if you roll the clock back 4 years, when she was in the hunt to become president then, when they had the debates, a couple things happened that are memorable. Number one, Tulsi Gabbard absolutely blew her doors off, because this is a woman, this Harris girl, who is not really good at counterpunching. And Tulsi just opened her up on stage and left her to die. Secondly, when she went in the primary in California, like they say, and she's from California, supposedly, although she's not, but that's another story, where they know her very well. She's a real good litigator and all the other stuff that they talk about. She got her doors blown off in her own state. Who knows her better than, quote unquote, her constituents? And as a result, she was cast aside. The only reason she became vice president is because of a plan that was hatched between Biden and Clyburn, the senator from North Carolina, South Carolina, whatever, who supposedly resurrected Biden's policies at that point, with the concept is, I'll get you the black vote, but you have to, give us something big in return, like a black female. So basically, it was a payoff. And she was she had been a senator, and she's attractive, and so on and so forth. And as a vice president, you keep her quiet, keep her in the corner, let her sit there and smile and all that. And that's exactly how she became the vice president. But to think that that's a person who is qualified to become president, it's sort of like the old days of Dan Quayle. Yeah, he'd be a real good presidential candidate, right? Or Mike Pence, or so many others that were put on the ticket to quote unquote balance the ticket. And that's why she was there, not because she was so strong. That's one of the interesting things about, in my view, Trump's candidacy and subsequent election. J.D. Vance, if you took a look at him and listened to him, this is a strong, powerful, bright guy. And did he really deliver, the 7 big states in the Rust Belt? I don't think he hurt them, but I don't think he had a hell of a lot to do with it. I think it was basically Trump that made that happen.
Oh,
Vance didn't
absolutely.
hurt.
So your comment that Kamala was wood, I watched 2 movies, one that everybody's heard of and one that I never heard of until I saw it. And one line stuck out in each movie. The first one was Being There with Peter Sellers and Shirley MacLaine.
Yeah.
And one line that stuck out to me, and I forget which character said this to who, but he has God's gift to have the ability to act natural in public. And it's like, well, that's Trump.
All the way.
I mean, it's whatever you think of.
Any
Trump is Trump.
Any context he's in, he always comes out looking good. He never looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's just, no matter what,
Whether he's schlepping fries or driving or a passenger in the truck or whatever the hell he's doing.
In the boardroom, or even in the taco salad, it's just him.
And he's also real comfortable when he's dealing with top-level people in business in this country and also on an international basis.
Yes. And the other movie was Gilda, who I had never seen the whole movie, but there's one scene that, if anybody hasn't seen it, it takes place, I guess, in an illegal casino down in Argentina.
Argentina, yeah.
And the casino owner hires this guy to manage the casino. The owner is married to Gilda, Rita Hayworth, but the guy that he managed to hired to manage dated Rita Hayworth, and nobody knows any of this. So they go to dinner and they post a toast to this guy's old B.I.Itchy girlfriend, not knowing it's his wife, and the toast was disaster to the wench. And that reminded me of Kamala. It's
great.
But
said.
No, she is stiff. She's very awkward. Just a terrible candidate. And I think she made one other mistake. Whatever poll you see where they rank the issues in order, it was always the economy and then immigration. It's always one and two, one and two. Abortion is obviously a big issue, you would think, because it affects, half the people.
Not even in the top 5.
No, it sometimes would get up to 3, but it's usually around 4 or 5, and only about 11% of the people will consider that a top issue.
That's right.
So whatever you think of abortion, she's running on a lower level issue, whereas Trump ran on issues 1 and 2. Now, he's an affable guy. You could never see Kamala work in the frying machine. And I don't say that as a pun or a joke, but she wouldn't try. Kamala Harris is the woman who wants to be thought of as the cool mom, but all the kids don't like her anyway. That's kind of like Al Gore. He was the rich kid with all the toys, but nobody wanted to play with him.
Good analogy. Very, very, very true. And then the other thing that you could say is that her first executive decision was to select one of the all-time great clowns. And don't tell me you don't buy that. Okay, this is our friend Waltz from Minnesota. just an absolute joke. And on top of it, this is a guy that came across very, very poorly. He calls a self-professed knucklehead, which he's correct in that. But he would come on stage with this jazz hands thing. He was just a total, complete clown. If she had really thought it through, the smart pick, if he wanted it, would have been the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, a bright, I don't like him, but he's a bright guy, handles himself very, very well. He comes from a major, major state, a pivotal state, meaning Pennsylvania. And yeah, he also happens to be, can I say it? He's Jewish. Oh my God. So oh no, we can't have a Jew on the ticket because we're going to really irritate the good folks from Dearborn, Michigan. Okay, very, very nice.
Well, she ran two ads. One was very pro one side, and then in the other state, pro the other side.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Anyway.
So here are some stats about the Kamala Harris campaign. So Kamala Harris, demographically, black woman. She just turned 60, so she's in the prime of everything.
Oh, yeah.
She should have gotten points for that. She would have been the first Indian president, first Caribbean president, depending on who she's came.
Hindu, Buddhist, whatever. Yeah, it's all good.
Primarily the first female president. Her campaign started in very early August, so in 3 months. How does a candidate like that spend $1.2 billion? No, billion as in boy, banana, and if you're an Intel voter, bicycle. But how do you spend $1.2 billion in 3 months and still end up $20 million in debt and not gain votes in any of the 3,144 counties in the United States?
And to underscore that, to put that number in a way that I can relate to it, it really means a little bit more than 100 million with an M, $100 million a week. A week. Right. That's how much money they dumped into their campaign to try to buy votes as best they could.
And it's not like she was outspent. By mid-October, she had spent $880 million in the campaign, whereas Trump at the same time had only spent $354 million, about 40%. It's remarkable. Getting back to media coverage, Kamala had 78% positive coverage. Trump had 85% negative coverage. If you look at some of the few remaining blue states, in 2020, Biden got 61%. This year, Kamala got 56%, a little under 56.
Wow.
California, Biden got 63.5%. Kamala got 57.6%. In New Jersey, and this ought to scare the hell out of Democrats. Biden got 57.3%, substantial win. Kamala got 51.5%.
Wow. Yeah.
New Jersey's that you can really qualify that as swing state at this point. And even in good old Massachusetts, one of the 3 states that is still solid blue when you look at the county map.
It's a sweet thing.
7 counties in this state went from dark blue to medium blue, or medium blue to light blue. It's still wall-to-wall blue. We still have good old Jim McGovern and Ed Markey and the fake Indian and all of these people. But at least we're becoming a lighter blue.
To put that in perspective also, you had McGovern basically running unopposed, although he did have Cornelius Ryan, a guy that ran, Cornelius Shea, I'm sorry, who ran with literally no money, no recognition as an independent, a couple of signs here and there, and we happened to meet him, he was a good guy. But against the machine of McGovern, of course, got in the 60s, Cornelius got in the 30s, which was amazing, which is kind of like a little backlash. And the other one, of course, was with our Pocahontas. And, of course, she wins 60-40 against the guy who doesn't even really live in this state, who was a devotee of our tall former governor and an avid anti-Trumper, a guy named John Deaton. And John Deaton got 40% of the vote, which is kind of an amazing thing. So there may be some things happening in this state that we may begin seeing at the midterm elections in 27 and so on and so 26 and 27. And the only thing we want here is for a balance. That's what Activate Worcester is all about, not strictly one side. And the more balance you have, it makes you better on both sides. It's as simple as that.
So if I can, every time that an election is over, the first thing everybody says, it's on to the next election cycle, which is 2026, the midterms. So if you look at the map,
It's hard to see.
yeah, you can't see it, but as Rush would do. He must be in his grave just with a big smile on his face. The U.S. Senate race for the Trump's midterms is primarily red. The blue states that are coming up would be Michigan, which Trump won, Georgia, that Trump won, Virginia, that he came fairly close, New Jersey, which the Democrats only won by a point and a half.
Really small.
You've got New Hampshire, which came very close. He could pick up possibly 5, 6, 7 Senate seats in 2 years, which puts him up around the 60 mark.
And what it does, it gives us two viable political parties, assuming the Democrats can become viable again. So it's an interesting dynamic that I think is going to be good for this country. I really do.
It'll be fun.
It's been fun so far. Anyway, folks, like I said earlier, I want you to enjoy your holiday. Keep the gun in the holster with anything that has to do with politics, and just enjoy yourself. And thank God for what you have. I said it. That's how I feel. Thank you for watching. Keep looking. We'll look forward to seeing you at our subsequent shows as well. And once again, Jay, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.